I confronted my boyfriend after his ex sent him kudos, and that's when I discovered he had been cheating on me the whole time we were together. My boyfriend Isaac has his own podcast that is finally starting to gain traction because of privacy concerns and my actual presence on it. I confronted him after he had been unfaithful to me for the whole duration of our relationship. I used to be the primary co-host, but I've been too busy with work lately to be extremely active on the program. Obviously, you can't have it all. He's nowhere near famous, but he's finally starting to be recognized in a couple of the episodes of the talk show podcast that I'm not naming. A really dull podcast with just one person, so Isaac informed me he had found a more reliable co-host for when I'm not available. I told him that was fantastic and asked him who it was. He replied that it was Abigail. Everything seemed okay because he didn't appear to be hiding anything on her Instagram, but after a week or two, we were out to dinner with our group of friends when Josh, Isaac's best friend, stunned me in front of everyone by saying that he thought I was very good with Isaac. Working with his ex-girlfriend, let's just say that I was not at all okay when he lied to me. Why would he feel the need to lie about something like that? I usually think of myself as being quite laid back about these kinds of things. Yes, I would have felt uncomfortable, but the show is filmed in the apartment that Isaac and I share, and I genuinely don't picture him cheating on me. We're very serious about one another, and we've been discussing marriage recently. The only red flag is that he lied. He's truly showed me, but I feel so strange about it. When we arrived home, I forced him to talk to me about it. About a year before he met me, he met Abigail, and it seemed like they broke their friendship. He lied to me because he wanted something more serious, something with a label, and she didn't give it to him again. It wasn't particularly unsettling or strange, but he still lied, and his closest friend's reaction, which was practically in shock, made me believe there was more to it. Isaac claimed he truly needed someone who could be a regular co-host on the show, so I told him that I didn't feel comfortable with him and Abigail, and that it definitely wasn't the best idea if he felt the need to lie to me about working with an ex-fling. I told him maybe I would have been if he hadn't lied, but he lost that chance. I went so far as to suggest if he kept lying, but if he didn't, he would just have to find someone else since I wasn't comfortable with this. He finally consented, but for the past few days, he's been silently treating me. Our friend group is aware of what transpired because of the mid-dinner announcement, which split the group 50-50ths. Some of my friends believe I should break up with him. They're saying Isaac is a decent person who simply didn't want to hurt my feelings, so I should give him some slack and he didn't mean to lie. But I have a really awful feeling about this now, and I'm scared that I really did overreact because things similar to this have happened before. Though when I think about it, I think that many of our friends are thinking that I'm overreacting to a tiny error. Little things like this have happened in the past, but the point is that I adore Isaac, eager to keep trying for him, but I just can't get the horrible feeling to go away. My friends advise me to talk to him about it more, but right now I'm at a loss for words. I could really need some guidance. For everyone who is heading straight for the breakup, let me say that I truly like this man. We have been dating for 4 years, and although she is a cat, we do have a child. I realize that sometimes calling it quits is the best course of action. But now that my sister has passed away, one of the toughest times in my life, Isaac has supported me through it all. He is compassionate and strong, and if things do get to the point when breaking up becomes necessary, he is an airhead. We'll change course if it's necessary, but for now, all I need is some brutal honesty and guidance on what to say to him about editing. He has a job because, in order for us to exist on my earnings from the podcast alone, he works today and I work tonight. I'll only have an hour to talk to him, and I want it to be a lengthy chat, so I'm going to wait till I'm off on Friday. I don't know what precisely I'll say yet, but I'll figure it out. Thank you for all the replies, and I'll be sure to publish an update on August 3rd, 2024. I hope that this will reach everyone who viewed and commented on my post. Firstly, I want to sincerely thank those of you who assisted me in coming up with questions. Ask him. I can't thank you enough. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety when I was 10 years old. Before we spoke, I paced the entire morning and experienced a mild anxiety attack. Normally, things like this would make me cry, no matter how small or big. Though he's been talking to me more lately, there's still this strange barrier between us. He brought me coffee this morning, which he generally always does, kissed my forehead, and we shared breakfast. I'm proud to say that I stood my ground. Isaac tensed and ultimately nodded, shocking me. I blurted out, "We need to talk," in the most UNC way imaginable. I knew deep down that this nagging feeling wouldn't go away if I didn't talk about Abigail at work. I'm going to sum up our conversation by saying that we talked for almost 2 hours, and when I questioned how long they had been in contact, he said that their mutual psychology class was how they originally met. This built up to his involvement in a study group while in college. I know that he remains close to several of the guys from that study group. Josh, for example, told me that they had remained in touch via the group chat. But we haven't had a one-on-one conversation in a while. The second question I asked, which made me cry a little, was, why the hell didn't he tell me? He apologized profusely as soon as I told him that it hurt to hear it from Josh rather than from him. He informed me that their friendship isn't the best, but I didn't think it was a huge concern because she seemed like a decent stand-in for me until I could resume my more active activities. Asked why he chose her and why she was the first thought, and he replied how he wanted to cover more themes revolving around college life/courses and study strategies, and she would be a wonderful person to do that with since she was a part of his life. He acknowledged that he knew it would make me uncomfortable and decided not to tell me since he knew how much I tend to spiral because of my anxiety during that stage. He assured me he loved me and never wanted to hurt me. Feeling frustrated, I told him that wasn't his decision. He agreed with me, apologized, and promised not to do it again. He also mentioned that Abigail would never have to appear on the show and that he would never intentionally make me feel uncomfortable. Saying I didn't want her on the podcast, then the situation somewhat flipped. I thought this was going well. We were in agreement and everything appeared to be going well. I felt like I had some closure and he appeared satisfied, but then he asked me a question that I wasn't able to answer. I felt my heart shatter a little and inquired how he answered. He gave me the messages, which were 2___ days old. He responded with a single message. I'm flattered, but I could have suspected there's something else she sent me nude. What the ___? I insisted that he stop talking to his girlfriend, but he refused, claiming that it would be embarrassing for his buddy group. I countered that I was his ___ girlfriend, and indeed the situation was unpleasant. I asked him how he felt about it, would respond if Josh sent me nude photos and they reached him. He acknowledged that he would have cut him off and expected me to follow suit. He nodded and consented to block her. I watched him do so and was still unsatisfied. I basically said, maybe honesty isn't as important to you as it is to me, but if one of your friends sent me nudes, I would tell you within minutes. In messages 2 days ago, and you didn't tell me that was my breaking point. I continued and started crying. And he did too. He kept stating that he felt like I was avoiding him and that he wanted to wait until he knew I was ready to talk, which seemed like ___, because he was giving me the cold shoulder. The silent treatment, I wasn't thinking, breaking up in my last post, but now, I don't know. I realized this wasn't the update you guys wanted, and I promise there will be another one. I told him that I needed space, and I'm someone who's unusual to set my bounds until I became extremely upset. He apologized and attempted to restrain me, but I retreated. I'm writing this from my best friend's house where I'm spending the night. I told Isaac that we could talk again in a few days, but for now, I need to consider things carefully. Isaac doesn't weep very often. In our 4 years of dating, the only time I've ever seen him cry was when his mother passed away. I know he loves me, but I feel like we should be part of something bigger. I apologize, and I realize this wasn't the update you all wanted, but thank you to all of you. If you would like to offer me advice, please do. I'm not sure where to go next, and I feel like I've been betrayed. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I'm willing to answer any questions you may have. I'll attempt to provide an update if anything more positive or negative occurs. In case anyone is interested, yes, I brought our cat along. Update 2. August 27th, 2024. I apologize for the extended absence from my previous post. I'm not sure where to begin with all that has transpired, but I'll start with this. After our breakup, I ended up messaging Abigail after reading some comments. I thought it would be wise to do so, so I messaged her on Instagram to get her side of the story. Had no idea who I was at first. Then when she saw that I was reaching out to her, she seemed shocked. She later learned who I was from the little that Isaac had told her, but she claimed that he had only recently, last month, not 4 years ago, which confused me. And I needed to know more. We got up for coffee, and she filled me in that they've been hooking up every once in a while. In her words, maybe once or twice every 6 months for years. She started weeping and held me as she apologized, saying she had no idea I'd been his girlfriend for so long. Apparently, he had been unfaithful to me during our whole relationship, and their FWB relationship never stopped. She told me they were safe and I shouldn't have anything, but to be honest, I completely blanked out. I was with this man for 4 years, and I don't blame her in the slightest. I believe she wants to stay in touch, but right now talking to her hurts too much. It's all Isaac's fault, but I just can't handle it. Anything that is even somewhat related to him at this time. I'm not sure if Josh was aware of this or not, but if he was, he didn't seem to mention it at dinner that evening. I apologize for the delay in providing this information. I ended my relationship with Isaac because of it. He objected to the separation, claiming we could go to couples counseling, but I told him there was nothing that could be done. I also bought our cat and told him I'd like to keep her. Tech's classy, I know. I'm living with my closest friend and we're having some major girl time right now. I'm in pieces, but I know that this was for the best, and it would have hurt worse to stay. Again, I apologize for the delayed update. Thank you. Fix 4 years of lying. Update 3. August 28, 2024 is the last update. I wasn't even going to write this, but I thought it would be a somewhat brighter ending for some of you. I apologize for the repost, it got pulled down. I still welcome suggestions and thoughts. You guys, and to be really honest, Josh ended up phoning me last night. At first I didn't answer because I thought it might be Isaac attempting to get in touch with me via him, but when I did after the third call, this guy seemed angry. His first words were, he informed me that Isaac is a nasty guy and that he can't believe he was best friends with someone like that for so long. I am so ... that he didn't give me a chance to say anything. He stopped by my former apartment on a whim, which was normal for him, and was shocked to learn that I had moved out when Isaac confessed to cheating on me, something Josh was unaware of but had believed you guys were correct about. Warned me of some things I've realized. Josh told me he told our entire friend group about what Isaac did, and when 2 or 3 of them were there, he was protective and wouldn't allow me hang out with our male friends one-on-one. The guys cut off contact with Isaac after taking Isaac's side. Josh, one of those guys, apologized once again and said he should have done what he should have done. The rest felt awful for me. I suppose I could do another update if anything significant happens, but this is where I stand with regard to pertinent comments where Op has informed me previously when he thought he'd noticed the indicators, but he never would have assumed Isaac had been carrying this adultery for so long. Responded, what made Josh suspect the cheating oop last year? I was gone for a week with some friends since we went camping, and it seems like he made a stop beat to see if Isaac wanted to hang out, but Isaac refused to answer the door. Isaac eventually told him I'd been on the phone with him, which is BS because I had no service for the entire camping trip. When advised to hook up with Josh, I already said this to a reply. He claimed to have heard a female voice and some noises. Josh is the last person I want to see right now. And to be honest, I don't want to date anyone anymore after learning that the man I wanted to marry had cheated on me during our whole relationship. I doubt I will go back to him. Josh is a terrific friend. But to be honest, it was difficult to merely hear his voice over the phone knowing that he was so emotionally linked to someone. I've been out of the dating pool for at least a year, and I want to have a strong emotional connection before sleeping with someone. To Isaac, next story, deceased BFF's mom showed up claiming my husband was the father. The truth was far worse than I could have imagined. I don't even know where to start. The past 6 months have been an incredible cluster, .. and it just seems to be getting worse. My dearest friend from elementary school, Alice, died of cancer in February. She had a 2-year-old daughter who was placed in her mother's care after her death. Last month, Alexis unexpectedly appeared on our doorstep, advising my husband that he must assume parental responsibility for his child and begin paying child support at last. She claims that Alice informed her about her daughter's father when she was born, but Alice refused to engage with him in order to avoid the inevitable. Had the worst panic attack of his life during this talk, so we had to end it before I could ask why she hadn't filed for child support. Was a traveling nurse who made a lot of money, which is the only explanation I can think of. Could provide more information. My husband claims that Alice's daughter is likely his, but that's not what I believe. Almost 3 years ago, we celebrated our arrival in our ideal home with a big housewarming party, following my completion of residence, and was prepared to make real money for the first time. Alice was scheduled to attend the party while I was in town, but I had to report to work early, so I didn't return until after 3 in the morning. As the celebration came to an end, my spouse was unconscious upstairs. My spouse says he woke up in the middle of the night to discover Alice on top of him, but he dozed out again before he could do anything about it. Alice had already left the party, which at the time I did find weird as we hadn't seen each other in months. I'm not sure whether I believe him when he says he never told me anything, but he showed me some messages he sent to his best buddy the following day, asking for advice regarding his suspicion that someone had raped him. But if he cheated, he might have used that exchange as proof, especially because he never mentioned Alice by name. Ever since the party, he and Alice have been extremely aloof from one another, and he even started making up reasons to avoid the house when she visited with her daughter. I honestly don't know what to do since I've known Alice since we were kids, and she's never come across as that kind of person, so I'm not sure if it's because he cheated on her or if Alice really did rape him, and this was his trauma response. I've known my husband for more than 10 years, and he has never once given the impression of being an infidelity. He's a handsome man, and I've seen the stares he gets at the gym, but he never even gets a quick glance. What the heck do I do? I told my husband he needed to get a DNA test before making any decisions, but how can I find out the truth about this situation when Alice isn't even here to defend herself? She never even said she liked my husband, much less wanted to sleep with him. The child's part, but he must move out in the interim while I consider what to do. Further information: OOP reacts to Alice's actions when she visits her at home, and if Alice were to tell her about the affair, oop, not that I noticed she'd. When she first visited after giving birth, she inquired where he was because he wasn't at home for the first time, but she never asked again, and I hadn't given it much consideration. Ever then, she's been at least a bit standoffish toward him because she thought I could do better. That really, thank you. That's a valid point. She always felt I could do better than him. So if it was an affair, you'd think she would have told me on her deathbed at least, oop on, if her husband drinks or not. Oop, not at all. He rarely beverages, and usually only at parties, which are few and far between at our ages. He has a demanding job, so I assumed that once he was drunk, he went to sleep rather than having consumed more alcohol than usual or something similar. Did Alice ever identify the father of her child? She told me it was a man she had a brief romantic relationship with while working in a different state. I understand that you need time to comprehend everything, but you've informed the possible victim of sexual assault that he needs to leave his house, his safe place, and you his safe person. I think you've jumped the gun a bit here and spurned your life mate who may have been raped. Oop. Yep, I'm starting to see I've made a terrible error. Update, August 12th, 2024 after talking with you.